everybody, as you already know, it's your girl Margaret, and I'm actually here with somebody who is very important. She's called Marsha, and she's here with a very, very interesting story, guys. And I hope you all have that time to just sit and listen.
Okay, my name is Tcheudji, and I have 5 kids and 2 are sickle cell. So I went through a lot living with sickle cell kids, which wasn't easy. But I was so lucky to be blessed to have those 2 kids that had the bone marrow transplant. I've been living in Oklahoma almost 19 years. So those kids, they both have bone marrow transplant, but it wasn't easy with them. So I'm always that strong lady who knows how to fight and take care of those kids. Kid wasn't really easy.
So, if I should ask you this question,
Yes.
with this whole sickle cell anemia, what is it all about? Because some of us out there, we really don't know what it is.
Okay. Okay. Sickle cell is a disease that is genetic. Genetic means what? From parents to kids. So when you have both parents that they are AS, means AS and AS will give you AA, AS or SS. So the best match is AA, which usually when you are a carrier, which is AS, you shouldn't get married to a carrier. So you have out of 5 out of 1, you are able to have a sickle cell child. And a sickle cell is already a disease. When you are AS, you don't have the disease. But when you are SS, it means both carriers gave you the disease, because you can be with both parents. You can be AA, so you take the A from dad and mom, or you take A from mom or dad and you take S somewhere else, or you can take both S from the 2 parents. So which is it make it really difficult. So before we get married, I advise everybody to make sure that you make the test to make sure that the test is like electrophoresis, the hemoglobin, so which makes you know what group you are into, because it's a genetic. It's from parents to kids. And when you have kids with sickle cell, that's already a disease that the kids are going through. I remember one day I was shopping and I was shocked when one lady, she was Caucasian, and she told me that her kid was AS. And I was like, how did you even go ahead and did the test? And she told me that because my husband was joining military. So they script all the tests and they did that. So she knew now. Just imagine my daughter who is at AS go and get married to a white man just because, okay, it's not white disease. So we always make sure to take care of that, so that we don't fall into that situation, seeing our kids sick all the time.
My question is, what are the effects of living with a sickle cell, including both kids and adults?
Okay, living with sickle cell, what is really sickle cell? When they call it sickle cell, it's just that because they have little veins that does not carry the oxygen properly to their system. So their blood is cycle. So that's why they call it sickle cell, because their blood, the shape is cycle. So it's not just like round like normal blood cells. So when it comes through the joint, it's not easy to pass through the joint. So they mostly have pain on their joints, means knee, their waist. And to realize that sometimes we don't, when in Africa, usually we don't even diagnose the kid when they are sickle cell until when they start the disease. So what happened, sometimes when you have a child, you don't even know the baby is sickle cell. After 6 months, you realize that they have swelling hands and feet. That's where you start like, oh, what is going on? So those are the signs that takes you through that. But when you don't know, you don't know. So it's really after that when you do the test that you realize that, oh. And sometimes it comes after 3 years, because like my son, when I had my son, because I didn't know he was a sickle cell, so my son started having swelling feet and hands. He was in pain, I didn't know, and the pain was mostly very sharp pain. Nobody can really endure that pain, because when I remember he was 3, he usually cried like, I'm hurting on my joint, I'm hurting on my knee. So it's a very hard pain, it's a sharp pain on this kid. So before you live with these people, and you never know when they're gonna start. Sometimes they just go and play outside. When they come back, you have to take them. Next thing, you have to take them to the hospital. So it's a disease that any parents, no matter how strong you are, you always crying seeing those kids. And I witnessed a lot of kids. When my son was 12 years, he had a stroke. So those are all the symptoms. So they go through a lot of symptoms that just because the blood is not flowing like our blood. So they have to drink a lot of fluid to be able, yes. So it's a very painful disease.
Thank you, Mom, for giving me this, letting us know about this touching story. So, when did you find out about yourself?
Okay, I find out of myself when I was working. I always work. I work at Polyclinic Bonanjo, which was one of the biggest clinic in Douala, and usually when you work in the medical field, sometimes you do some exams, and so most of the time I was just like, I would just be, sometimes I just faint, and we never know why I was always fainting, because it was sometimes it affect AS too. Sometimes they have shortness of blood and they don't even know what is going on. So by working there, it gave me the chance to do the test, all those tests, and they realized that I was AS. So when I was AS, I knew already my status. So I knew before I get married, I make sure that I have a husband that is AA, which is the normal group, so that I have the chance to have kid with AS or AA. Unfortunately, when I did when I was getting married, I did the exam from my husband, because I knew my status already. So, but they told me that it was AA, so I knew that I can go ahead and get married to him. So I had my first son, I had the second, I had the third one. On the fourth one, that's when I realized that, after one day, I just saw my son crying of crisis, and I couldn't just imagine what was going on. So they did the first test when he was 2 years. They told me it was SS. I said, but it's not possible that it can be SS, because my husband is AA, I'm AS. But unfortunately, I went to other lab. I realized that the result was the same, which it means that he was really SS. So that's where I couldn't just believe, and I have to take the result the way he was, because I could see the sign of sickle cell on him. And that was my first time seeing a person with sickle cell. I always knew about it, but never saw a person with sickle cell.
So hey guys, now you all see the kind of country we all come from. You can get your diagnosis and it all comes around. You tell me you have 5 kids. So can you please tell me how this whole situation affected each and every one of your kids?
Okay, this sickle cell, having those kids was just terrible in my life, but I was just blessed to have my husband that he was very supportive. I have my family to support me, because when you have a situation like this, you really need people around you. And those kids, it was so hard with them, because even letting them out to play was, so to my girl, and this disease affect more girls than it affect boys, because having the two sex, I realized that my daughter, which was 1 year, had more frequent hospitalization than the one that was home, because I left my son when he was 5 years back home. And my daughter that was 1 year, I was living in the hospital. So it affected my life. I couldn't walk. I was living on Section A. I had food stamp. So it wasn't easy for me. But by the support, I had a lot of support from my family, which every day I appreciate and always thank them about, being by my side, even friends. So today I'm just happy, because I'm fortunate really to have the cure for those two kids.
Okay, so my husband and I, we used to have, or we do have conversations sometimes about SS, and he told me way back then there used to be no cure. So can you please enlighten us about this cure, about the wellness, so each and everyone out there should know what it's all about?
Yeah, we have a cure now. It's just like we have what they call bone marrow transplant, and the bone marrow transplant is the only cure. And I think they are working for gene therapy, but I don't know how gene therapy works. But because my kid had the bone marrow transplant is just something that, like, one of the siblings was the donor. So before the cure, you have to have a donor, which is compatible with the patient. So my daughter, the oldest one, was a donor for the youngest one. So we have that lucky that we found one in the family. But my son didn't have a donor, so he was put in. We have this that we call BMH. BMH is I think it's just like a war where you can find match for sickle cell, or for cancer, or for kidney disease. It's just something like that. So we were fortunate that my son didn't have a donor in the family, but we were able to find one in Brazil that came and be a donor on him, because him, after his bone marrow transplant, not the bone marrow transplant, after the stroke, he had a stroke when he was 12. And he was receiving blood transfusion every 3 weeks for 9 years. Every 3 weeks for 9 years. Until we find a donor for him. And his bone marrow was very complicated. I don't know why, but when my daughter had the first bone marrow transplant, she was 8. So Dylan, that had his bone marrow, he was 21. I don't know why his bone marrow was so complicated, because right now, when they have bone marrow transplant, they have a lot of issues sometimes, with chemotherapy. Chemotherapy, it makes their head fall apart, and sometimes it's just the body is just peeling off. The feet can be peeling off the hands, and it's really it's a cure, but I believe that it's more complicated, but at the end you have a good result. So it's worth it, because seeing your son or your child crying every day on that pain, I think the bone marrow is the best decision to go when you have a donor.
Thank you so much, Mom. I hope this piece of information helps each and everyone out there. So, is there anything you have done to help out there?
Yeah, I created a foundation that was in 2013. And 2015, I decided to take some toys, which I went to La Quintini because they have their clinic there. So I started helping them by giving toys at the beginning. So I'm still working at that hospital that they were giving me medical supplies. So last 3 years, I was able to take these medical supplies to Polyclinic Bonanjona, that they were able, because I was just lucky to have another sister that was in that situation. She had a child with a sickle cell, so she knew what I was going through. So she decided to go to schools, churches, and just make sure that if she have any kid that they are sickle cell. So what she was doing, she would go and collect those kids, make sure that she talks with the family, and she would do just like a little paper like ID each time when they were sick, because when I went with those medical supplies, I gave them to the clinic. So register all the kids with sickle cell, and when they were sick, they were able to have free treatment at Polyclinic Bonanjo. So until when Corona hit the ground, we wasn't able to. So we stopped the contract. But before then, the clinic have spent 22 million for those kids that they were coming, and I'm still helping because I have cases. Sometimes you have a lady that have 3 kids, all the kids are sickle cell, and I just have a case that they just called me, and this lady has 3 kids, and all the 3 kids are sickle cell. And the first one is 11 years, just had a stroke. He doesn't even speak, and he's paralyzed. So I have cases. I have another one that have all his legs are really damaged with ulcer, and he has wound for 16 years. So I was able to send $800 to him so that he can help himself. He had a good treatment in one of the hospitals in Cameroon. And right now what I'm doing, I'm trying to have a doctor in India that parents that they have a little bit possibility to go there and find cure for their kid, which is gonna be a little bit cheaper. So I will refer them to that doctor in India, so that they can have, if they are lucky, like this lady who has 8 kids and 3 sickle cell. She just lost a child. The girl was 22 years. So now they are so desperate. So I'm trying now to refer them to India, and I'm talking already to this doctor so that they can find between the 5 kids and see if they could have the match for those 2 that are sickle cell, and they will be able to go to India and get their bone marrow. So I'm still working every day. I cry every day. I try to help as much as I can.
I think I don't even know, you are really strong and you are powerful. I don't know how many people who go through just to do this. And thank you so much.
The healing of my kids, I cannot just turn like nothing happened in my life.
Right.
I'm still in that shoes no matter what, because I still feel the pain of those parents.
Right.
I cannot just ignore like, oh, mine are okay, because it's so painful to see those kids crying.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so I'm still going through a lot. And I will advise anybody that needs my help to contact me, so that any help that I can give financially, because my foundation, there are people helping me, giving me money, and it's just what I try to do. The last time I sent $200,000 in Cameroon from my foundation, I just told my husband, just go there and see who need help. And when he arrived there, we have this little girl. She was discharged, but because she couldn't pay her bill, she was there for 1 month until when my husband came. The bill was 120,000. He paid the bill. He went to another room. This man, he needed blood transfusion, but they didn't even have $24. He wasn't able to even have the money, so he gave him 50,000. Went to another room, and I'm so shocked when you see this little boy taking the money. The boy, they gave him 30,000. He just knee down to take this money. So it's just heartbroken when you see those kids. And we don't have any help. When you are poor in Cameroon. There is no help. I'm so fortunate because it was the same system in Cameroon. My kid will never have cure.
That's right. Okay, so guys, the information she just gave us is gonna be down on the description box, her number and the website where you can go if in case you wanna support. It will be so much appreciated, and you never know who is out there. We all think, oh, we have a lot going on, but we have people out there that are going through worse. That is just all saying that no matter what you're going through, you should just be thankful because there are people out there that are going through worse. The advice, or what is your advice that you can give to us out there with everything going on about sickle cell anemia?
Okay, well, the advice that I can give to young couples before they get married, because when you know you can avoid, when you know your husband is AS and yourself is AS, I think the best thing is just to disrupt the marriage, because there is no need having those kids, seeing them going through the pain, and sometimes you don't even have money. And I advise all the parents that they have kids with sickle cell, all the people that they are sickle cell, not to be discouraged. And I see some families, some men, when they have kids that they are sickle cell, they just abandon the wife with the kid. Those kids, they are so important. They are so precious. They need that love from both the parents. And it's not mom's fault, it's just our fault. And sometimes we don't wish to have kids with sickle cell. But when it happens, you have to be there for that child, because that's what I see in Africa. Usually, when they have kids with sickle cell, they just like, oh, I'm not there anymore. These kids need a lot of love. They need love from their parents, and they have those parents. Sometimes they don't have money to feed this kid, and this kid need a lot of nutrition and good nutrition, because they need a lot of water. Even they can drink water, they can put some little sweet things there just to encourage them to drink water. And they need to eat a lot of vegetable, a lot of fruit, a lot of fish, more than meat, beans, everything that can really boost their blood, because that's the problem. They are mostly anemic, and they need to have good food. And sometimes they don't even have food to eat to make the choice of good food. So that's why we are there to help those families, because nobody chooses to be in that shoes. But when you are there, you have to be strong. And mom and fathers, you guys have to be strong for those kids, because they need you.
I really don't know. I'm short of words. Thank you so much for everything, and I'm privileged being here with you. And I hope this information help everyone out there. Like I said, you never know. So please take her words for it. Just do what she says. If you don't mind, don't forget to go down and hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.